What do an idealistic American president, a wicked Wall Street investor, and Liberace have in common? Well, these roles have all been brilliantly played on screen by my next guest, the Oscar award-winning actor and producer Michael Douglas. Michael won an Academy Award for Best Actor for his role as Gordon Gekko in the 1987 film Wall Street.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
His rich career in film and theater spans nearly 60 years. He is now adding America's first diplomat to his list of roles.
But what on earth are you meant to be?
An American.
Michael is currently starring as Benjamin Franklin in the Apple TV Plus series Franklin. Welcome, sir.
Fareed, it is an honor to be here. I'm a big fan of your show, so thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, it feels very appropriate because what you are portraying is not just Franklin, but Franklin at a moment of, it is one of the great moments of diplomacy in history. You know, tell us about that.
Well, it is, and it's one that people don't seem to know that much about Franklin. I didn't. I think we all have from our sixth grade education. We know that Franklin had hardly any schooling at all, about 2 years of schooling, left at 12. We know him as a publisher, a great writer, University of Pennsylvania, libraries, post offices, and all his inventions. But when he was 70, right after they declared their independence, and they signed it on July 4th of 1776, 6 weeks after that, the Founding Fathers get together and say, Ben, we need you to go to France because General Washington is suffering. We've been fighting the British now for more than a year. We're in bad shape, ragtag army, have no ships. We want you to go to France and woo Louis XVI, the largest monarchy in the world, to support this little tiny democracy that America has just been formed. And so he went over there and ended up spending 8 years trying to woo and cajole, and with all of the complications that existed with spies and backstabbers and all that, to get France to support America. And the truth be told, if it was not for France's support, we would not have had America. Right. We would have been a British colony for I don't know how much longer.
And he had no background in diplomacy?
None. I mean, I think they probably picked him because he was a bit of a rock star. He was very famous in France in particular because of his experiments with electricity. And he was probably a bit of a seducer. You know, he was quite a philanderer in his day. I wouldn't want to have been his wife. And would imbibe and had this vast knowledge, but was just incredibly effective in going over there.
When you portray powerful people, you portrayed Gordon Gekko, the great Wall Street tycoon. You portray these other characters, the American president and the American president. Do you think that there's some common trait that power, is there something you say to yourself, I've got to puff up my, is there something you do?
It's the opposite, Fareed, because with powerful people, the audience or the other people already know all about you. So with like Ben Franklin, he has this incredible resume. Gordon Gekko had this great resume. President Andrew Shepard, we were president. So you can actually play against that because you're going to be the humble, look at him, not in Gekko's case, but in Ben Franklin and everything, because the audience knows so much about you, you don't have to push. So in a strange way, it's you become a little more passively and let them come to you.
Did you find that there was something about Ben Franklin? Actors sometimes say, there's a trick, there's something that made me understand his personality, either a gesture or a voice or something. To you, was there something that was at the core of Ben Franklin?
His curiosity. He had an immense curiosity, and he had the mindset to try to be able to complete a whole picture. I mean, the way I think of it is, we all have ideas, but it's very few. We can take our ideas and link them together to a full consensus. And in this area, he reminds me a bit of Elon Musk. He had that same kind of a wild imagination about thinking things that were impossible, a good self-deprecating sense of humor and all that. Some differences, of course.
You also have great curiosity, and you have often, I've noticed, taken something from your roles and applied it to your real life. So very famously, you're very active on nuclear non-proliferation, and all that came out of the China syndrome.
Correct.
Right? I read somewhere that you have taken from Ben Franklin his love of Marcus Aurelius.
I have. I have become a Stoic. I've started doing a lot of reading about Stoicism, and I'm very impressed. And do thank Benjamin Franklin for giving me that.
What does it mean to you to be a Stoic?
Well, it's something somewhere between the Protestant ethic and my own Judeo roots. But it basically involves being the best you can be every single day. Not reaching necessarily outside of yourself, but nurturing what is inside of yourself and drawing the best from everybody that you're around and giving the best that you can give. In the Jewish faith, they have an expression called tikkun uman, which means to repair the world to make it a better place. And we have to remember that Stoicism, 300 years BC, was it. That was the major faith, and Christianity seemed to push it to the side. But there's a lot of qualities that I find very helpful now.
So a Jewish Stoic.
Yes, a Jewish Stoic, exactly.
Let's talk about age. You're about President Biden's age. You're doing fantastically. You look like $1 million.
Thank you.
Why don't you run for president?
I did the movie once, but I knew.
Did it ever tempt you?
Well, I knew I had the ending. It's a little difference when you have the ending. They asked me to run for governor a couple of times in California earlier time. And I remember saying, well, why do you want me? He said, well, we need a man who can finance his own campaign. I said, yeah, who has a credibility, notoriety, who is well known around everything. And I remember saying, you sure you're not looking for a kamikaze pilot? I said, I don't think so.
So you and Biden are about the same age. What do you think? Are you one of those people who wished he had bowed out, let the field choose somebody else? How do you think about that?
Well, I think that I walk a little similar to him, and the people that I've talked to and everybody that I have say he's as sharp as a tack. He's fine. We all have an issue with memories. As we get older, we forget names. He's overcome a stutter in his life, and sometimes he might. But let's just say that his entire cabinet, including his vice president, everybody in his cabinet, would be more than happy to work with him again in the next term. I cannot say that about the other candidate running, because nobody in his cabinet from 2016 wants to be involved with him.
Do you think when everyone says, yeah, he's okay now, but what's it going to be like the next 4 or 5 years? But you're going to work for the next 4 or 5 years. You're not retiring.
Well, I'm not. However, I will say we did Franklin in 2022, and after 165 days of shooting for 7 months, I haven't worked since. So I took 23 off, and we're going into 24, and I must say I'm enjoying the time off. And I think he'll be fine. Thank you very much. This is probably the most important election of my lifetime. I share with my kids through the Vietnam War, this is the most critical time in my lifetime that I can remember where we're at right now. We need somebody in control, in power, who has some experience and knows how to work on a global situation. The world, you can't ask for one side for us to be active globally, but then internally say we're just going to isolate. It doesn't work that way anymore. I think this is a year also for us to really remind ourselves about local elections. And I think if we're going to kind of adjust, we have to start from the bottom up, not from the top down. And so I think all of us who vote for presidents should be actively involved in our local elections too.
Well, this is an honor and a pleasure, and what a career. We're all in awe of you.
Well, you're very kind for reading. Keep going, keep on. I can't wait to see you again on Sunday.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Thank you very much.